Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Team Member Perspective. As we're going to have a packed house today, I am very amped about that. We're going to have some guests on TMP. And so here's what I'd like to do before we get started, guys. Today, we're going to teach you through your added cars alone, you can travel level one. It is very simple, it works. So I'm excited to get into that. And I want to talk about concepts that changed things for me as a team member that took me from 10 life apps a year to consistently over 200 every year after that. Today, we're talking about one of those that really made a big difference for me and has changed production for hundreds of agencies across the country. Agencies are traveling for the very first time after being in business for 8 years from what you're about to learn today. Okay, so I'm going to do my best. My goal is I'm here for you guys, here to serve you and help you level up the agency. Guys, if this is your first meeting with us, first of all, welcome. I'm excited for you to plug into this group of like-minded team members all across the country and to feel the energy that we share here. I want you to really start to think about your life and health insurance production in the agency like a funnel. Now, here's the thing. I believe that when I learn something that's a lever mover for me, the more that I learn it and I hear it being taught and the more repetition there is, the more it solidifies in my mind. Okay. And so some of you have been taught what we're going to talk about today. But here's the deal is what's the next level for you with this process, right? How can you make your process better today? Because I'm telling you, I'm going to show you the math here of how we can travel from the added cars alone in the agency. So I want you to think about your life and health insurance sales in the agency as a funnel. When I first started as a team member, I wrote 10 life apps a year my first 2 years. So a lot of you know my story. And I'll tell you what I was doing. I was a hybrid sell service team member. Okay, so I'm doing new business. I'm also helping out with service. I'm trying to create as many opportunities as I possibly can for life insurance, for health insurance. Okay. But I was trying to basically do the life needs analysis with every single interaction that I had on the front end. You guys are familiar with the life needs analysis, right? LIFE, have enough coverage to pay off people's loans, cover their mortgages, replace income for 20 years, pay for funeral, education, everything else, right? I was trying to cover every single need with all the new business households I was quoting, with all the everyday service calls and tasks that I was doing. When I call and run lists, like call our current customers from lists, I was trying to cover every single need. And why? Well, because that's the way I was taught, right? That's the way I was taught. But guys, my first 2 years, I wrote 10 life apps a year. I was very, very frustrated with that. But here's what I ran into: analysis paralysis with people. You guys know what I mean? Where I do this full conversation with Grace, and at the end, Grace is like, you know what, Coulter, I just want the auto in the home. Thank you. I just want the auto in the home. I'm good. I need to talk to so-and-so about this. It became a bigger decision than it needed to be. I was making it complex for the customer. Okay. And so today I want to show you how we can take the complexity out of life insurance by treating your production in the agency like this funnel. Okay. And so here's the idea of this funnel. Now, before I even get into this, I think it's important for me to share one of my beliefs. And it's this: something's better than nothing. You guys agree with me on that? In regards to coverage, something is better than nothing. And I'm going to share a quick story of why I believe that. So it was about my second year in the agency. And I remember, getting to the office, pulling up my ECRM, getting to my, 30 emails that I had, sitting in my chair and just kind of getting my day started. And guys, this is a time when I'm not writing any life insurance. I'm discouraged. I'm frustrated. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I can't figure this out. Anyways, I remember, as a hybrid sales service team member, I was working our MOA at the time. We just got a MOA. I went from a very busy legacy with, organic opportunity coming in all of the time to this MOA where it's like, this is dead, right? This is super dead. And like, I'm getting anxious. I'm dialing, I'm creating all these lists. I'm calling win backs. Like, I'm doing anything I can to create opportunity. And so I was always picking up the phone. Even though I'm a salesperson, I'm picking up the phone because I could create a lot of opportunity from service. You guys agree with that? There's a gold mine in service. I believe that. And so I remember the phone rang. Just a normal day in the office. I pick up the phone. Actually, I see the caller ID, and it's someone that I knew, right? Someone that I grew up with. They didn't live too far from me. I actually went to high school, I guess kindergarten through high school with his son. Okay, it's a single dad, and he did the best he could to raise his son. And, his son, again, great acquaintance, went to school together. Someone I knew. Well, I pick up the phone. It wasn't the phone call that I expected that day. I remember he told me, he said, "Hey, Coulter," I could hear in his voice, something's up. Say, "Hey, Coulter, I'm just calling to let you guys know that so-and-so, his son, had just died in a car accident." I knew this. I knew him. And so I sit there and, I feel a little defeated. Okay. But what came after really kind of shook me up a little bit. And I remember I could hear in his voice, he said, "Coulter, is there anything on our car insurance or homeowners insurance policy that could cover some of these final expenses?" So I'm looking at his account. Guess what I don't see? Life insurance. I'm looking at the opportunities. Guess what I don't see? That we talked about coverage. No S coverage, Calvin. Not even that. I couldn't see that we had talked to this family about life insurance. And so I had to tell this man that we didn't have anything in place. Have you guys ever had to deal with a phone call like that? That's when things changed for me. That's when things really changed for me. After I hung up that phone call, I felt like I had dropped the ball. I felt like we could have made more of a difference for this man, right? And so I want you to think about this. Like in this situation, what would have a $50,000 instant answer policy, what would have that have done for this man? Like, is that enough coverage, guys? Probably not. But is something better than nothing? I believe so. Like, I want you to think about the impact that not having any coverage had on this dad in a time where he just lost his son. Because he didn't have coverage in place, I mean, he's doing his best to raise his son. He had to be thrown back into work without having time to really grieve and mourn and be able to kind of just spend time there without this added financial burden. On top of trying to deal with losing his son. If there was a $50,000 life insurance popcorn policy in place, what would that have looked like for the dad? What impact could that have had on him? I want you guys to think about that because that's very important. My belief is that something is better than nothing, but I also believe that more is better than something. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can take the complexity out of the life insurance conversation, not only for us as the team members, as our agency, but also for our customers. Okay, and first and foremost, guys, what do our customers and prospects, what do they know us for? What policies? Guys, do they know us for like life insurance? They know us for P&C, right? Do they know us for short-term disability, Medicare supplemental health? No, right? They know us for home and auto. And so for me, I decided, you know what? How can I make life insurance complement home and auto? But I want to show you with this funnel, because this is I want you to understand this concept before we get into this added car play. But basically the idea of this funnel is there's 3 steps to this funnel. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is instead of trying to cover every single need with life insurance, my TMP people will know this, but how many needs are we going to look to solving initially? 1, just 1 need. So how many of you are writing new business? You're a new business team member, like you're writing new households. Okay, that was me. Instead of trying to cover every single need for Coulter, okay, and I'll give you an example of my scenario, okay? So I'm married. We've got 2 kids under the age of 5. We've got a homeowner's policy. We've got a home and then 2 autos. We've got a mortgage and 2 loans. I'm the only one working. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. So if Scott's quoting Coulter's new business, solving 1 need looks something like this: paying off one of Coulter's cars with a life policy, even though he's got 2 loans and a mortgage. Paying off Coulter's mortgage, even if he's got the loans on the car. Just picking one of these needs initially. I'm going to show you how we can build that out. Okay, now how many of you are writing life insurance from service? How many of you are creating opportunities from service? That was also me. Okay, so Coulter calls into Matt's office to make a payment. What is Coulter thinking about? What policies is Coulter thinking about that Matt helps him with? Life insurance or auto and home? Auto and home, because that's what I have with him. But also Coulter's only plan to spend 30 seconds with Matt today to make a payment. So if Matt was to try to go into this life needs analysis, it's going to take 5 minutes. What do you think Coulter's going to be thinking in his mind the whole time? I'm trying to get him off the phone. I didn't call to be sold today. It invites sales resistance in the conversation. Okay. But instead, what if Matt was to just pick 1 immediate need and talk to Coulter about solving that 1 immediate need? Maybe paying off one of his loans, maybe paying off the mortgage, but not trying to do too much up front. Now, how many of you are working and running lists? How many of you work in the book consistently? By the raise of hand. Okay. If you're not, here's your sign to start doing it. We need to be playing offense every day, right? Be in control of our life and health production. We need to be playing offense and work our book. But let's think about it this way. If Curtis calls Coulter from this let's say auto renewing in March, my truck's renewing, and he calls me from a list, is Coulter expecting Curtis's phone call today? Even though I'm his customer? No. I'm not. Am I expecting to pay a lot more with Curtis today? Probably not. And so if Curtis called to try to do this big life needs analysis conversation with Coulter, my mind probably couldn't even be there with him on the phone. Guess what I'd be trying to do? Get him off the phone. No matter if I might need life insurance or might want it, because of the situation, if there's too much going on, I might just try to get him off the phone. That making sense, guys? So instead, what if Curtis could just pick one immediate need and solve that one immediate need with me? Or at least pitch it. It seems a lot more simple. Guys, have you heard that a confused mind does not buy? Do you guys agree with that? I 100% agree with that, okay? So here's the deal, guys. Wherever we can write life insurance in the agency, whether it's new business, maybe it's service, or it's a list, what we want to do is just solve one immediate need. Here's what's going to happen, Michael. You're going to be writing maybe an instant answer policy, which is okay. Okay. Jillian, you might be writing a $150,000 policy. Megan, maybe you're writing, maybe it's a $250,000 policy, maybe a select 10, 100,000. Okay. Maybe 150,000, because we're not trying to do too much. We're just picking one immediate need and we're going to solve that one immediate need. And again, I believe something's better than nothing, but I also believe that more is better than something. So that's just step one, right? All of your new business conversations, solve the one need. What happens? You're going to create all this opportunity and this is going to enter into your funnel. Okay. Now, guess what average producers are going to do? Average producers are going to just write these policies and leave them alone. But what are top producers going to do? TMP, what are they going to do with step two? Are we going to try to get in front of them again? We're going to try to upgrade them. We're going to try to do a review appointment. We're going to meet with these people, which is step two, at the issuance to review the policy, right? Allie's going to remind Coulter that, look, Coulter, this coverage is in place to pay off your F-150 for Lacey and the kids. But now Allie's going to go into an upsell. She say, hey, Coulter, it's great that we're paying off the truck for Lacey and the kids, but what happens to the house? Who picks up monthly mortgage payments on the house if you're not around? Well, Allie, that would be Lacey. Okay, well, Coulter, what does that look like for Lacey? Is you and Lacey working or is it just you working? Well, it's just me working, Allie. Okay, so what would that look like for Lacey? Well, I guess she'd have to go get a job. And then you have kids, right? Like, who takes care of the kids? Aha. Don't you think now Coulter might be thinking, oh my word, like maybe I need some more coverage here. I'm starting to see the problem that if I die, my wife has to pick up the mortgage payment. And when you think about the negative, like the impact that would have on her and my kids, Coulter's not around. My wife has to pick up the mortgage. She's not working. She has to go get a job. She's now going to have to pay for daycare, right? Maybe she can't get a job where she can afford all of that. So now she's got to not only pay the mortgage and the cars, but now she might be in a position where she might have to sell a car. Is that easy stuff, guys? Is it just like super simple to sell a car? I don't ever like privately sell my cars because I don't want the work, the hassle. So if Coulter's gone, Lacey has to deal with all this hassle and this financial burden on top of trying to deal with losing me, on top of trying to be emotionally strong for my kids. Could be a problem, right? And so this issuance review allows us to build more coverage. Okay. And then step three is the annual life insurance review. Next year, Allie's going to meet with me again, and every year after that to do an annual life insurance review. Why? Why would we even care to meet with our customers in an annual life review, guys? Do you guys do that? Are you guys meeting with your current customers that have life insurance? I would hope you are, because guess what? You don't have to do, Brody. You don't have to sell Coulter on the concept of life insurance. I already believe in it. You just have to sell me on a review. Now, would you agree, Scott, that it's a lot easier to sell a review than it is a policy? Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Think about 5 years ago. Has your life changed in 5 years? Mine's changed a lot. Like I've got 2 new vehicles, got a house. My wife and I were buying a new house right now. We're in the process. I've got 2 kids. My job, my career's changed. A lot's changed. And so we just want to make sure that policies are keeping up with our customers' lives. And I'm telling you, organically, very naturally, by holding annual life reviews, you're going to write more life insurance. Whether it's you do a term reset, get a more coverage, or where it gets really fun, you get into conversions, right? So does this make sense as far as this life insurance funnel? The 3 steps. Solve one immediate need in step 1. Hold an issuance review, step 2, and attempt to go and get more coverage, more premium. And then step 3, an annual life insurance review, more coverage, more premium. Does that make sense, guys? Because at the end of the day, guys, if you want to write more life insurance, which I'd imagine that's why we're all on this call today, right? There's really 2 ways to do it. Like I like simple. TMP, you guys know I like simple. There's two ways to grow a life book. Maybe you guys know it. If you know, throw it in the chat. One, we write more apps. It does not matter how big they are. We just write more apps, right? And number two, we make those apps worth more. That is how we can grow our life insurance book. This funnel will allow you to do it. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. Let's go to talking now about our added autos. Okay. So guys, help me know in the chat in your agency, if we had to add together added autos every month plus replacements and swaps. And I know we're kind of shooting from the hip here and it's okay, but agents, how many added autos and plus replacement swap auto transactions are we getting in our agencies every month? Throw those numbers in the chat for me right now. And we're going to have a lot here. And here's the deal. If we've got an agency that just started in January, new market, it's going to be different than someone that's been in business for 25 years, right? But the beautiful thing about what I'm going to teach you today is that this will only grow as the book grows. So how many added replaced vehicles are we getting in our agencies every single month? Okay, I'm seeing numbers all over the board, okay? I asked this question to every agent that I get to talk to. Okay, I always ask this because there's an opportunity here that sometimes we don't think about that's really just at our fingertips, okay? Before we get into this, Julio, you said you have a question. What's your question? Let's answer that before we get into this. If you want to come off of mute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so recently I've been doing a lot of ad cars, right? And some change cars too. And by the way, thank you at that seminar that we had. Since then, I've been writing like I wrote like already 5+ life insurance apps. But something I do notice myself doing while trying to sell the life app, sometimes I feel like I'm overselling it. Like I don't know at what point, what are the key words that I want to hear from my customer? Hey, like you already sold this to me because I've been told this by my customer. Hey, I already have State Farm. You already sold me on this. Like, like where's I guess the stopping point from there?
Great question, man. Hang on to that because we're going to get into breaking down how do we execute this. And I think the first step of any sort of self-improvement or improvement our production is going to be your self-awareness.
Right.
Let this sit in your mind, and I think that you're gonna get that answer today.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
I love it. Good stuff. And congrats, by the way. It's a big
Thank
deal.
you.
It works, guys. Okay. So here's the thing. We did this seminar in San Antonio. What? It was a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago. And Julio's written 5 life apps. Crazy. It works. It's incredible. Okay. So here's the deal. Added replaced vehicle transactions in our agencies. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the number 30. Some of you are putting in there like 70. This gets me so excited for you, okay? Because there's going to be a ton of opportunity. And some of you are like, yeah, we may be closer to like 10, 15, 20. That is okay. We're going to use 30 as an example today, okay? Now, if we think about 30 added replaced every single month, what percentage of these 30 have a loan on them? What percentage? Throw it in the chat. Okay, we're kind of getting numbers all over the board. I'm gonna say 80%. Okay, 80% for this example. Okay, so check this out. 30 added cars, added, replaced per month. 80% have a loan or a lien, right? So what is 80% of 30? 24. Okay, we're gonna get good at math today, guys. Okay, so 24. This means we have 24 opportunities in our agencies every single month to run this play I'm about to teach you. I played baseball growing up. Do you know the way that I could increase my batting average? I had to step up to the plate. I had to get an at bat. Okay, think of it this way. You got 24 at bats to run this thing. Okay, now in my tenure as a team member, and a lot of my coaches and a lot of you here in TMP, you will agree with this. I was getting about a 50% closing ratio with this thing. So I'm closing, if I have 24 at bats, if I'm closing 50%, how many financial services am I closing every month from the added replaced autos alone? All right, 12. I love it. We're going back to school today, okay? Times 50%. 12 added financial services every month from the added replaced alone, okay? And by the way, here's the strategy with this thing. Every time a customer calls in to add or replace a vehicle and the new one has a loan on it, we're going to be talking about life insurance to pay their loan off and disability insurance to make the monthly payment. Okay. And so when I say a 50% closing ratio, I'm saying people half of the time are going to be getting a life or a disability policy, and a lot of the times both. So here's what we're going to do. 12 added financial services a month. And we're going to just say that, like, we're going to be very conservative here. Let's just say the average annual premium for these is $300 a year, $25 a month. Okay. You're going to have people all across the board that are older that might be getting, like, this could be a $40 a month policy. Some could be like 22. Okay. But we're going to say very conservatively, $300 in yearly premium per application on average. Okay. So what is 12 times 300? This is the amount of new annual premium we're bringing into the agency every month. You math wizards, this is going to be what? 3,600? Okay, there we go. So $3,600 in new premium per month. Now, what if we did that for 12 months? How much premium is that? Can someone put that in the chat for me? $43,200 in new premium for the year. Now, again, all we've done so far is the top of the funnel. Step one, we're solving one immediate need, right? Let me show you what an issuance review in step two can do for you. Okay. So let's just say you're writing 144 financial services a year, right? 12 a month from this. Let's just say that 100 of those are life insurance policies. The other 44 are disability. Is that okay? So 100 are life. Let's say 60% of the life policies you write of the 100 agree to do an issuance review with you, and they show up. So how many issuance reviews would we have done if we get 60% to do it out of 100? Bingo. So Brandon, we love it. 60 reviews. And how about we just do this? Let's just say that half of them decided to increase their premium by another $300 a year. Guys, these are relatively small numbers, but I'm just showing you the power of this, okay? So if half of these people of 60, we've got 30 people, 30 insureds that decide, you know what, from that issuance review, I want more coverage. And on average, they do another $300 a year, which, guys, think about it this way. Like, to cover a mortgage, we're only covering a loan on a car. To cover a mortgage as well, that premium can increase, okay? And so 30 times 300 is what, guys? 9,000. And then if we go back, we add 9,000 to 443, 200. Guys, we are just about there. Right there, we can hit travel. If you guys can't pick up $55,000 is travel level one this year, which leaves us about what? $2,800 in premium that we can pick up from a list. We can pick up from new business. We can pick up anywhere else. This is how we can travel level one from our added replaced autos alone. And Caitlin, thank you. That does not include the premium from the 44 health. Whoo-wee. I like that. Okay. So do you guys believe that you can travel level one from your added replaced auto alone now? Can you see how it can happen? So let's talk about, how do we do this? How do we navigate this darn conversation? Because that's what I assume you guys are here for, right? Here's the deal. I believe that sales is a numbers game. Do you guys agree with me? Brooke, do you agree that the more people you talk to, the more likelihood you have of selling people? What about you, Abigail? Do you agree? I agree. But guess what? We've only got 8 hours in the day each, right? There's only so many people we can talk to. I also believe that sales is also a skills game. Do you guys agree with that? I mean, think about it this way. If I had 10 conversations and I was to close 3 of the 10, what if I could close 6 of the 10? Sales is a skills game, but it's also a numbers game. Okay? If you guys will just figure out how to show up and just run this every day, I believe you can travel level one. Now, we didn't even really talk about, what if you could increase, instead of a 50% closing ratio, what if you could do like a 70? Can that happen, guys? Yes, I believe so. Okay. So let's talk about how we can increase our closing ratio, how we can get more skills in this. And again, guys, some of you have heard this before, right? In fact, TMP, let me know if you have ran this play and written a life or a disability policy from an added or replaced vehicle. Type yes in the chat for me. We need to show the rest of these people that it's happening all over the place. It's happening. Okay. So how do we have this conversation? Here's first and foremost, I believe that as an agency, we're a team. This is a team thing. And I believe we have sales contributors or sales people on our teams. You guys agree? Whoever's first on the phone, who's the one in your agency that is taking these inbound calls for the added replaced vehicles? I want you to think about that and identify that. A lot of times we have service people that are first on the phones. Service people, if you're first on the phones, one of two things can happen. Number one, you run this play I'm about to teach you, and you can start making more money than you ever thought you could, helping more people in more ways than you thought you could. And you'll also build confidence that you can actually sell without feeling like a salesperson. Or service people, if you are first on the phones and you're not the one doing this, you can pass it off to a sales team member to do it, right? And so it doesn't matter who's doing this. It just matters that it gets done and that we work on increasing our skills so we can increase our closing ratio. Okay. So I'm going to work through this format, this framework with you. I love frameworks, guys. I love frameworks because it allows me as a salesperson to know where to go next. Because how many of you, when you like recognize an opportunity, Cole, have you ever had an opportunity where like, this is freaking good? Like, ooh, kind of get a little nervous. You kind of feel like that butterfly in there because you're like, this is such a good opportunity. I don't want to mess this up. Sometimes you get a little nervous and then all of a sudden you're like in the middle of the conversation and you have like this brain fart and you're like, I don't really know where I'm going next. Right? I think we've all been there. Frameworks allow me to know where to go next. Okay. So here's the thing, guys. We're thinking about the inbound call here. This is very important. Inbound call. Abigail just purchased a new vehicle. She is calling me to add it or to her policy. And here's the deal. Before we get into this, I believe that the more we understand about our people, the more we can help them. Do you guys think we're in the people business? Do you guys agree with me on that? The more that I can connect with Abigail here and understand her world, the more I'm able to speak to her world and help her in her world. So let's think about this. Abigail, you just purchased a new 2025 Ford Explorer. You call into my office and you're gonna get added with me. And you've got a loan on this thing. Talk to me, guys, about what we know or what we feel, what it's fair to assume that Abigail is thinking in her mind and how she's feeling about her brand new Ford Explorer. How does she feel? She's excited, Stephanie, right? Oh my word. Like, you guys have been there. If you've ever purchased a new vehicle, like you want any and every excuse to call or to go and just drive it everywhere, right? Like I'll pick up my wife. We'll go pick up my mom and dad, and like we'll take you guys to dinner, right? We'll drive, right? We go, Cole's going to the golf course with buddies. He's like, I'll drive, guys, right? We want to drive everywhere because we're so excited about the thing. Okay, but Matthew says something here: buyer's remorse. So we're excited about Abigail's excited about her Explorer, but when she thinks about her loan and this $80,000 loan amount and this $1,600 monthly payment, where does that excitement go? A little pit in the stomach, right? Can I afford this? Guys, when we think about our debts and our monthly obligations, talk to me about what types of feelings we feel. Diane, stress, anxiety, a little pit in the stomach, like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. I should be putting my money somewhere else, right? Do you guys agree that that's the conversation going on in Abigail's mind when she purchases a new vehicle and she calls Coulter to get added? She's excited, but she's also a little stressed. Yeah, don't scratch it, right, David? Don't you scratch it. So here's the deal, guys. This works really well because all we're doing is we're entering this conversation already happening in Abigail's mind, and we're educating her. We're advising her. We're not selling her. We're advising her. I just need to be good at communicating with her the exposure that she faces by having this loan, whether she realizes it or not, the solution to those exposures, which we can help them with, and the benefits by going through with that solution for her and her family. That's it. Guys, sales is more communication than anything. And I believe that 90% of your success with what we're going to train on right now is going to be on your delivery. If Diane's delivery is poor, guess what she's probably going to get a lot of? Objections. But if it's good, guess what she's going to sell a lot of? Life and disability. Because it makes sense for people. They want this. And did you guys know that banks are offering people this type of coverage? Do you guys know that? And honestly, like I got an email when I purchased my new truck for my credit union. And I was like, wow, I want to buy that. It was very interesting. And so people want this stuff. So get it out of your mind that they don't. We just need to deliver it in a way and communicate it in a way that makes sense for people. That's not salesy, that doesn't trigger people to feel like Diane, Diane's trying to sell me here. Because what happens when people feel like they're trying to be sold to? Do you think they open up to us or they close off? They shut down, right, Justin? When they shut down, no matter what you're saying, Scott, no matter how good it sounds, no matter how sexy it sounds, I'm just trying to get you off the phone. It's kind of going in one ear and out the other. I'm being polite and just letting you talk, but I'm not actually internalizing it. So we want to be very aware that we want to keep sales resistance out of the conversation. I don't want Grace to feel like I'm selling her. I also don't want to feel like I'm selling Grace either. Okay, so how do we do it? Let's go through this framework. You guys follow me so far? If you guys would throw your questions in the chat, my coaches, help me out with these. We'll get to those at the end, okay? But I want to get through this framework. I want to teach you the how, because that was one thing for me as a team member. I was always taught what to do, but I get out there doing it, and I realize, like, I don't even know how to execute on this thing in a way that actually works. Okay. So I'm going to show you the framework that you can use to make this thing work for you. Okay. So this is the inbound call. It's fresh on their mind. They just purchased the vehicle. They're a little worried about the loan. Okay. So there's going to be 5 steps to this. Okay. And this is your framework. This is your framework here. Step 1 is we are going to basically gather information. What information do we want to gather to quote a life policy that can pay off a loan amount and a disability policy to make a monthly payment? Throw it in the chat. We want to gather that information. Step number 2 is I like to have a transition statement that's going to transition me from the gathering the info to now setting myself and the customer up for a presentation. It's almost like a bridge. And again, I like this framework because it tells me where to go next. In the heat of the conversation, when I'm maybe having, getting a little excited, maybe a little nervous, it allows me to know where to go next. So I can spend more of my time listening, observing how Diane's receiving this message. Okay. After the transition, step number 3 is our presentation. This is where the selling happens. You have not done any selling until your presentation. But here's the deal. The gathering the information and the transition allows you to open up the sell. We've got to open up the sell before we even think about closing the sell. Does that make sense? Because here's the deal. A lot of you are out there pivoting. You're working really hard. You're pivoting to life insurance, but you're setting yourself up with objections that you're not actually opening the sell, and you're stressed and you're trying to figure out, like, what in the world am I doing wrong? But what you don't realize is people aren't actually listening to you because they feel like they're being sold to. They feel like they don't need life insurance because they had it through work, right? They're giving you all these early obstacles that stop the conversation. Okay. So we got to be able to open the sell before we close it. And then we've got to be able to bring value in our presentation, like give them a reason as to why in the world they should want this. Okay. After we do the presentation, the next thing is we want to close. I just want to get people the price. I got to give Cole an option to move forward with me by giving him the price. Okay. And then step number 6 is we want to unpack. We want to unpack what we just talked to them about. Okay. Now, guys, before I demonstrate this and role play this, again, gather info, transition, presentation, close, and unpack. Okay. I'm going to show you all of this here in a moment. Just bear with me. Step 5 or oh my word. Wow. Okay. There's 5. I skipped a step here. All right. So there's no step 5. We're going to call this 4 and 5. All right. You guys can follow me there. Okay. So let me ask you this. Lorinda, do people buy life insurance from you because it's life insurance? Caitlin, do people buy life insurance from you because it's a life insurance policy? What about you, Jennifer? What do they buy? What are they buying? They buy what it does, right? They buy the protection. They buy what it does. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Lorinda about what it does. That's what we're going to do. And then after Lorinda understands what it does, guess what? Now I can talk to her about what it is. That makes sense? Okay. So here we go. Let's have someone be my customer here. Jeremy, you cool with that?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Guys, if you don't know Jeremy, you got to get to know this guy. Like, one of the most positive, optimistic people that gives me a lot of energy. I'm very grateful for Jeremy. Okay. So Jeremy, you just purchased a new blacked out 2025 Ford F-150. You're a current customer of mine. I mean, you're going to call in, you're going to get this added to your policy. Okay. It's got a loan on it. And for the sake of this first role play, you're going to tell me yes. Because I want to show these guys how to work from step 1 to 5, pivot to close. And then we're going to talk about objections. And I've got a couple frequently asked questions with this that we're going to go through. Okay. So Jeremy, let's do this. I'm going to show you guys and I'm going to walk you through this and I'm going to show you how to deliver it. Because you guys agree that it's not just about what we're saying, but it's also about how we're saying it. Okay? And words that we're using are very important. So pay attention to that. All right, Jeremy, This is Coulter.
Hey, Coulter, it's Jeremy.
How's it going, Jeremy?
Oh, it is a beautiful day, my friend.
My goodness, I love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. What can I help you with today, Jeremy?
Dude, I got the truck.
You got the truck. The black one?
The black one, blacked out, black rims. It's,
Oh my word.
dude.
Jeremy, you're making me a little jealous right now. Like, I need to see it. Like, this has been on my list for a long time. So you're gonna have to bring it by and at least show me when you get a chance. But
Deal.
no, congrats, man. That's exciting. That's super exciting. Good deal. So it's the 2025. What did you get the Lariat like you were looking at?
No, I actually went the FX4.
Oh my word. I love it. Good deal, man. Good deal. Now, did we pay cash on this or did we get a loan?
Nah, dude, payments are stupid crazy.
I know. I know. I hear you. So what bank are we using?
We went with ABC.
ABC Bank. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then what was the total amount that we financed with ABC Bank?
Dude, it's 84.
84. Okay. Good deal. And then what does that put our monthly payment at roughly?
We're looking right at 850, close to that.
Okay. Awesome. And then, I know you've told me, remind me what you do for a living.
Oh, I'm in sales.
You're in sales. What type of sales? Okay. Pause. Guys, here's the deal. What am I doing right now? I'm gathering information. But guess what I'm also doing throughout this whole thing? I'm connecting with him.
Yeah.
Building rapport. Form. You hear it talked about in many ways. You know the quickest way to build rapport with people and disarm people, connect with people? When they call in to add their vehicles to Avalon, you talk to them about their freaking vehicle. They're excited about it. You also talk to them about what how long you've been in sales. Like, what do you do in sales? Like, just ask them questions. You'll connect with them. Because we want to get to a friend-to-friend conversation here, okay? So that's what I've done. Gathered information to quote. I know it asks for annual income to quote the STI. I don't like to ask that question. It's too soon. Because in Jeremy's mind, like, why are you asking me that, right? I will ask him the question if he says, yes, I want to do this at the end. And worst case scenario, if he doesn't have enough income to qualify for $850 a month, I'll tell him, look, we can get you $650 a month based on what your income is. Easy, okay? But I just want to keep sales resistance away, okay? So I've done that. Okay, I'm going to move on to step 2, which is my transition. So Jeremy, where you've got a loan with ABC Bank on the F-150, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at our car loan protection coverage, and you can tell me what you think.
All right.
Okay. So transition. Okay. Now I'm presentation. So Jeremy, when people have loans on vehicles, there's really 3 things that I think about as your agent. First thing I think about is we want to make sure that if anything happened to the F-150, maybe it's involved in a fender bender, maybe hit a deer, or maybe even this thing was to be totaled. What we want to do is we want to make sure we have the right coverage in place for you to come in to either pay to fix or replace the F-150 with little to no money out of your pocket. Okay, so I've quoted you $500 deductibles for comprehensive collision. That's what you got on your other vehicles. Meaning the most you would pay if anything happens here will be $500. We'll cover the rest. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Second thing I think about is actually with this $84,000 loan with ABC Bank. What we want to do is we want to make sure, Jeremy, that, heaven forbid, if you were to pass away prematurely, or you didn't make it home tonight, that we've got the right coverage in place to come in and pay off this $84,000 loan for Janelle. Like that way, Janelle's never in a position where she might have to possibly be struggling with this monthly payment, having this added financial burden on top of trying to deal with losing you, and on top of trying to be emotionally strong for the kids. And then the third thing that I think about is you're working, right? You're selling, you've got this $850 monthly payment. What we really want to do is we want to make sure that if something happened to you, Jeremy, if you got sick or hurt and you're out of work for an extended period of time, we want to make sure that we have the right coverage here to, in place to come in and actually make those monthly payments on the F-150. Like that way, you're not having to stress out about like where in the heck this money's coming from. You don't have to tap into the savings account, potentially exhaust that just to pay for this thing. Like on top of trying to get like healthy and back to work, right? But they're just going to be taken care of for you. Okay. So Jeremy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at those coverages for you. And again, you can tell me what you think. Okay.
All right.
Presentation's done. Okay. Now my close is just very simple. So Jeremy, if we were to do those coverages for you, it looks like it would bring that monthly total back to about $195 a month.
So you're saying that covers the truck, pay off the truck if I die and make my monthly payment on the truck if I get sick or hurt.
Correct.
Why wouldn't we do that? Let's get it done.
Good deal. So we can get that done. Okay. He's told me yes. Now I'm going to go unpack this. Okay. So we got to be very clear here. Now that he understands what it does and he wants what it does, now we got to get into what it is. Okay. So Jeremy, the coverage that's going to come in and pay off this $84,000 loan, I've actually got $100,000 of coverage for you. Okay. It's life insurance. It's a separate policy. You'll see it on its own little separate line item on your bill, but just remember, like, your total for this coverage and everything is the 195. What I need to know is if something did happen to you, and we had to use this policy here, this coverage, who do you want this $100,000 to go to?
No, it's going to Janelle.
Going to Janelle. Good. Okay. Boom. I start with beneficiaries and then I move right in the application. Okay, great. And just guide him, lead him. People want to be led, right? Just tell them, hey, we just need to go through this application. There's some personal, basic questions, and then a few health questions. It's pretty simple. Just start in there. The application asks for height and weight. What should I put? Boom. We're in. Okay. When you do that and you coordinate signature and get signature there, you do the same thing with the short-term disability income. Hey, Jeremy, so the coverage that's going to actually make the $850 monthly payments if you got sick or hurt and couldn't work, that's called short-term disability income. It's a separate policy. It bills separately on its own line item. But again, your total is $195. What I need to know is, I need to gather some information here, and boom, we're into it. Ask the annual income, go through the application, lead them along, get the signature, wrap this thing up. That's it. Guys, on a scale of like 1 to simple, where does this fall for you? Do you feel like this is simple for you guys to be able to do? Does it make sense? Now, I've got a couple of frequently asked questions. I want to go through these. In fact, we're going to talk about objections. Okay, but here's the thing. Was there really a place, Jeremy, that you wanted to just really give me an objection?
Because I've been sitting in my seat so long, yeah, I wanted to play the game with you, but
okay. I know you did. But like, there's not really a place. By the way that I've set this up, I'm gathering information. I'm taking control. I'm saying where you have this loan, I'm going to look at a loan protection coverage and you can tell me what you think. This right here, your transition, that sets up the conversation for you to take control of it. People want to be led. They don't know what coverage they should want or need. Lead them. Okay. Lead them. And then guess what? I'm presenting. I'm just saying, look, when people have loans, this is what I think. There's 3 things I think about. I'm almost talking in third person, but then kind of making it very personal. Like, hey, we want coverage basically to pay off the $84,000 loan. That way, Janelle and the kids, right? That way, mom and dad, whoever it is that would be responsible for this loan, that way they're not in a position where they might be struggling with this thing, on top of trying to deal with losing you. Okay. And then when we've done that, just give them a price and then unpack that. Okay. Okay. And Caitlin, this is very important. During the unpack, I get some objections. Yeah. So we might get some objections there. I want you guys to think about this in terms of many sales along the way. Just because Cole tells me yes, he's like, I want this coverage, it doesn't mean that's done. I still got to lead him along confidently and tell him what's next. Okay. But just lead people. And I'm going to show you, if you get an objection, wherever it comes up, I just like to use what's called an option close. And this is the beauty of quoting 3 lines. And you guys have heard this before, but I'm telling you, use this if you get an objection. And the objections aren't really going to come up for this first part. They're going to come up when it's the close or when we're unpacking. Now, if it's in the unpacking, Jeremy, I mean, you saw, like, you're going to be able to read your people. Like Jeremy was like, oh, I can get all of that for this. Well, let's do it. If he gives me an objection in the unpacking, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to agree with him and say, I understand, Jeremy. Thank you for bringing that up, man. But I'm then going to loop back into my presentation. I'm going to remind him, yes, this is what this is called, but this is what it does. This pays off the loan. That way, Janelle and the kids are never in a position where they might have to struggle with that payment. And again, if we did that, this is what it's going to be. Just loop back to your presentation. You got to remind them what it's going to do for them. Guys, insurance is one of those things people don't want to pay more for. So it's very easy for their minds to go, oh, I don't want it because I have their work, or the price is too much. But like, people don't buy life insurance because it's life insurance. They buy what it does. So go back and explain what it does. Okay. And with this option close, if I did this with Sonia and Sonia says, oh, Coulter, like, what are some objections you guys foreseeing when I say, hey, Sonia, so if we did this, it'd be about $195 a month. What objections do you foresee coming? Well, that seems like a lot more than my other cars, Coulter. What's going on with that? Or, whoa, Logan, right? That's a lot, right? Or, do I have to do all of those coverages, Coulter? Or even Martin could say, Coulter, dude, I just want the car insurance, dude. Regardless of the objection they give you, you can use an option close here. And it has an element of looping. I'm looping back to what it does, but this is how I'm going to say it. Sonia, totally understand. I got to agree. But then I'm going to use this option close. Obviously today, Sonia, you called because we need to get insurance on the F-150. Like, that's got to stay where you're going to, need that with ABC Bank. They're going to require it where you got the loan. And if you want to drive legally, that's got to stay. Okay. Car insurance needs to stay. And look at how simple I'm laying this out. It's very important. Communication. So Sonia, that needs to stay. But of these other two coverages, where one, in the event that you pass away prematurely, there's coverage that pays off this $84,000 loan. That way, Janelle and the kids would never be in a position where they might have to possibly struggle to make that monthly payment, like on top of trying to deal with losing you. Or two, if you got sick or hurt for an extended period of time, there's coverage that'll make those $850 monthly payments. So you don't have to stress out about where that's coming from. You don't have to worry about selling the vehicle, but you can keep it. Of those two coverages, Sonia, I guess which one do you feel like makes the most sense for you right now? That's it. Just put it back on Sonia. Make her tell you no again. And what's going to happen is one of three things. Number one, she's going to tell you one. She'll be like, oh, I like the coverage that'll make the monthly payments. Great. So if we did that for you, Sonia, bring that total to about $170 a month. Pretty easy, right? And then from there, she's going to say, okay, great. Let's do that. Move and just wrap up the STDI. Go for the life maybe a different time. She told you no twice to the life, right? Now, another fun thing, one thing she also might do, Coulter, thanks, but like, I really just want the car insurance. That's fine, guys. Are we going to close every single one of these? We looked at the numbers. We don't need to, right? It's okay. Don't get attached to that. Like, just do it again. Someone else is going to tell you yes, they want it. But then the third thing that she might say is like, oh my gosh, I can do all of that. And it's only $25 more. Let's just do both. Oh, there we go. Fun day, right? Okay. So that's the option close. Now, what if Jeremy's at the dealership? Like, Jeremy just spent the last 4 hours at the dealership and he calls and he's trying to get the freak out, right? It's like, get me out of this dealership. Have you guys been there where it's like at the end, you're like, holy cow, like, get me out of here. And so like the last thing that I want to do is talk to Coulter about this coverage, right? And so be aware of that. If they're at the dealership, here's what I do. I say, Jeremy, I want to get you out of there. I'm just going to match coverage on your other vehicle so I can get your ID cards for full coverage here. Can we connect a little bit later when you're out of there, when you have some time to really, and we can talk about coverage and pricing? Guys, easy. Okay. What policy should I quote? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like if there's have enough coverage to pay off the loan. If it's a $45,000 loan, maybe you can do an instant answer. You can also do a select 10 term there, right? Doesn't matter. Just do whatever can pay off the loan. Now, what if I feel too overwhelmed, Coulter? Like, I'm newer. Can't navigate all of that and be on the phone and be able to do it. You guys feel that a little bit? Here's the cool thing. What if we did this? What if we did this, Carrie? What if we just gathered information and then I said, Jeremy, I want to make sure I'm quoting this right. Make sure that we're going to do the best we can for you and make sure we're not missing any discounts or any coverages for you. I've got all the information I need. Are you okay if I just shoot you a call back in the next 5 to 10 minutes? We get this added for you. Oh my word. And then when I call Jeremy back, guess what I do? Hey, Jeremy, where you have a loan on this vehicle, I'm going to look at our car loan protection and you can tell me what you think. Pretty simple, right? Okay. So guys, that is the car loan process. I would love for you guys to share a takeaway in the chat. And when I say takeaway, I want you guys to really think about, like, this is something that I'm going to implement. This is something I'm going to implement. I'm in this for the transformation, not the information. So what is your takeaway? Go ahead, Caitlin.
I just had a question. If it was your household calling in, and let's say Lacey made the call.
Yeah.
add the truck that you just financed, and Lacey doesn't work at a job, she works very hard in your home, I'm sure, what would your changes to the play be in that situation? Because sometimes I'm running into this where they're retired or it's the spouse that's not working, and I'm freezing up and not running the play at all, to be honest.
Yeah. I think I would honestly like, here's how it would work with me. I would feel like I would, if I were you, I would quote it on me because I'm the breadwinner and just tell Lacey that. And Lacey would end up telling me, hey, we're getting this for you. And I'd be like, okay. So I would just do it on the breadwinner or the primary on the loan. Just start there. And I think it opens up opportunities. Like if you did this and you wrote it for me, guess what? You could also do it in issuance review. Hey, Coulter, I mean, it's great that we have this on you, but like, what happens if something happens to Lacey? Would you be okay to pick up that loan amount, have people watch the kids, or would you want that paid off as well? Boom. Now we can go in and upsell for more for her. That makes sense. So I would just keep it simple and just do it like you're the expert here, right? Lead them. They don't know. But like I would start with the breadwinner or the primary on the loan first and just pitch it that way. Even if I'm the primary and I'm the breadwinner and you're talking with Lacey, just say, hey, where Coulter's the primary on this loan and he's the one that's bringing in the income, here's what I'm going to look at on this. Because if something happened to him, we want to make sure that, boom, like you aren't in a position where you're struggling with this thing, having this added stress on top of doing what you're already doing with the kids and, you know, being mom and all that, right? This has been a blast. You guys are awesome. So go have a good weekend. Stay out of trouble. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.